In this video, we're going to be talking about the entire George Floyd situation, and we're going to be talking about, I guess, my thoughts on what's happened and giving an update to what's happened as well. And so, three more former cops charged in the killing of George Floyd. So we've got the man himself. Keith Ellison is the one dealing with this case, and so I've got some faith that justice will actually happen. And so we got here from the HuffPost. So this is pretty recent. It's only within the last few hours. This has really come out. So three more former Minnesota police officers to be charged with the killing of George Floyd, the 46-year-old man who died after an officer kneeled on his neck during an arrest. And so we know the arrest was over an alleged counterfeit $20 bill, and so this was super unnecessary. He didn't murder someone. He didn't commit crime of the century. This is hardly a crime, especially if he didn't know. Especially if, say, the bill was counterfeit. How you can't prove that he knew that. So this is just ridiculous in itself. But it wouldn't have mattered anyways. Even if he had committed, assault or theft or something like that, it doesn't matter. The way he was treated was absolutely barbaric. And so the office of the Minnesota attorney. So here we go. The AG Keith Ellison plans to charge Tao Thao, Thomas Lane, and J. Alexander Kueng on Wednesday with aiding and abetting Floyd's murder. According to a report by the Minneapolis Star Tribune, that HuffPost has confirmed with a law enforcement source. So we've got a tweet from Klobuchar which says the same thing. So Minnesota AG Keith Ellison is increasing charges against Derek Chauvin to second-degree murder in George Floyd's murder, also charging the other three officers. So the murder charge on Derek Chauvin has been upgraded from third-degree murder and manslaughter to second-degree murder. And so that's important because that means if he is proven guilty, he will be given potentially a higher charge. And so, Floyd was killed on the 25th of May after officers arrested him about in a store with a fraudulent $20 bill. As seen in Floyd's video arrest, Chauvin used his knee to hold down Floyd by the neck, even as Floyd pleads, "Please, man, I can't breathe." So he said, "I can't breathe." It's very reminiscent of the Eric Garner case where he was put in a chokehold. And so we've got a statement from the Fraternal Order of Police. So I think it's just a large police union by the looks of things. This is a statement from the Fraternal Order of Police. So I think this is them as a group, as a union giving a statement. I do not believe this incident should define our profession or the Minneapolis Police Department, but there is no doubt that this incident has diminished the trust and respect of our communities have for the men and women of law enforcement. Police officer Patrick Yo said in a statement, based on the bystanders' video from this incident. So there was no body cams here from the police, which should be mandatory because of the way, especially the way U.S. police forces act. We witnessed a man in distress pleading for help. The fact that he was a suspect in custody is immaterial. Police officers should at all times render aid to those who need it. Police officers need to treat all citizens with respect and understanding and should be held to the very high standards for their conduct. And they even showed so much respect to even mass murderers like the kid who went into a black church and started shooting everyone. They bought him a goddamn Burger King, and this person's near George Floyd. They didn't even let him breathe. That's how bad it was. Further statement goes, Floyd's brother called for the protest to remain peaceful, but said demonstrators were torn and hurt because they're tired of seeing black men die constantly over and over again. These police officers, they need to be arrested right now. They need to be arrested and held accountable for everything. And he's right, and they have been. Luckily, Keith Ellison's on the job. Hopefully, he does a good job. And so, if we jump to here, if we watch this video here, it'll tell us If we watch this video here, it'll tell us it's a very common tactic used by Minnesota police force.
A new report by NBC News finds that since 2015, officers from the Minneapolis Police Department have used so-called neck restraints, using an arm or leg to compress someone's neck, on suspects more than 200 times. And in at least 44 of those cases, the suspects lost consciousness, according to an NBC News analysis of police records.
So there you have potential instances of 44 other George Floyds that could easily have been killed by police forces using such a stupid method of restraint. Genuinely insane what's been allowed by the Minnesota police force, or whoever the hell writes the rules for this stuff. And so here we've got a little hit job here from the police union president, Lieutenant Bob Kroll. So if we go to a letter that he wrote, he's saying that, what is not being told is the violent criminal history of George Floyd. The media will not air this. I've worked with the 4 defense attorneys that are representing each of the 4 terminated individuals under criminal investigation, in addition with our Labour attorneys, saying they were terminated without due process. Do you know who was terminated without due process? George Floyd. And so the irony of this man writing this statement here, if we Google this man, let's have a look. This absolute clown here saying that, the police officers were right to do this. And this is the thing with police unions, they'll back their guys, absolutely. And so when people say join unions, police unions are exempt. Screw police unions, absolute clowns, backing this guy. And so here we jump to a tweet from the former, potentially the former light heavyweight champion of the UFC, saying that I wouldn't wish Johnny Bones Jones. I wouldn't wish the way George Floyd was murdered on my worst enemy. That officer applied just enough force pressure to keep him alive for almost 6 minutes in that chokehold. In my years of fighting, I can honestly say I've never experienced anything close to that level of torture. This is a man who knows about jiu-jitsu and how dangerous it is to hold someone in a chokehold. And if this is a trigger warning here now, but if we scroll down slightly, you can see the video, and look, you can see his knees clearly on his neck. He's struggling to breathe. I think his nose was bleeding at one point as well. And so if we go further on this, we can see that somehow a preliminary autopsy report cited by earlier by prosecutor said the county medical examiner's review revealed no physical findings that support a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation regarding George Floyd. So whoever did this autopsy should get fired, because clearly you're not very good at your job, especially when 2 further autopsies found that it was due to strangulation. And so here we have Dr. Alicia Wilson, one of the pathologists who conducted the independent autopsy, said that Floyd died as a result of mechanical asphyxiation. So if we just Google that quickly, what is it? When external pressure prevents breathing by compressing the lungs and diaphragm, the term mechanical asphyxia is used. Traumatic asphyxia, positional asphyxia is a right crush. Deaths are subtypes. So he was strangled. So this is what the independent autopsy found, and this is what another autopsy found as well. And that George Floyd's death was a homicide, official post-mortem. So we have the independent post-mortem and another I think this was a state done post-mortem as well. This was a state done post-mortem as well that showed that he was killed by the police. So who did this preliminary autopsy? Get rid. They're not very good at their job, evidently. And so that's going to wrap up this video. Just giving final thoughts. It's very obvious if you watch the video. George Floyd was killed by the police. He was strangled. Essentially, they put enough pressure on his neck so he would live for 6 minutes. Then he died. So there's that. We can see that finally. It took a few days. Derek Chauvin, the officer on the case, the officer who had his knee on his neck, was charged with 3rd-degree murder, manslaughter. Later on, bumped to 2nd-degree murder. The other 3 officers in the case, if we jump to this, you can see look, they have 3 guys on him, right? You can see one. There's a second guy there. It's quite hard to see, and there's a 3rd guy there, right? Why does it take 3 people to restrain one man? And in that case, why do you have his knee on his neck? This makes no sense. In trying to restrain someone, why does it take 3 people to take on one guy? You're not dealing with a superhuman here. He's just a man, and so it doesn't make sense. Plus, he was handcuffed, apparently as well. What's he gonna do in that position? He can't do much. If you're that scared, you could even tie his legs. But you didn't. You put pressure on his neck, and he killed him. And so you can argue it's manslaughter because it's accidental, but it looks very intentional, to be honest, that he cut off his airway on purpose, and that this is a common tactic used by police. It's been used by 200 times. There's 50 instances a year that Minnesota police use this neck attack, and in 44 cases, so that's what, almost a quarter of cases, or it would be less than a quarter of cases, someone's passed out. This is ridiculous, and what we can tell from this is the police are not trained properly in how to deal with restraining people. That's evident from this, and so I'm gonna leave it there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you haven't seen the video, you should watch it, but it's very difficult to watch. In all honesty, this is the witnessing of a man essentially being tortured to death. And so I'm going to leave it there. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know what you guys think. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.